Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I'm Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Benucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
Okay, is he there?
Hey,
buddy. Your mic's off.
Oh, your mic's off.
There you go.
Hey.
Okay.
See,
I was slow getting my shit together. Your mic's off. It's all good in the hood.
Yeah.
See,
What's going on?
I'm using earbuds. I've never used them before.
Okay.
So
it
feels weird to me.
You know what though? When you record, whether it's this, a podcast, or an interview, it's the only way to do it is to have the headphones or earphones in.
Yeah.
Because it cuts out all the other crap, right?
Yeah.
The master has spoken.
Well, Phil taught me that.
Wait,
No, it wasn't me.
of course, he's Asian. We know that tech stuff, right? Except for
Apparently,
me.
because I sure the hell don't. So I just
I
trust you guys can say whatever you want. I'm just going to go with it. Yeah, you guys are right. I move on.
Where-
I'm good to go.
Where are you, man? That looks amazing.
My backyard.
That's your backyard.
Yeah, it's a forest.
Okay.
It's a lot of.
Where are you? The
That's
west side or the North
amazing.
Shore or what?
No. North Burnaby.
Oh, you're North Burnaby. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks
I like it here.
beautiful.
I love East Van, so I'm with you. I have no issue I like being in.
Yeah.
I lived in East Van for a long time.
Yeah.
But I noticed that a lot of people moved, a lot of the East Van boys, you know it, Kenny.
All the Italians moved. All he's trying to say
moved
is
to
all the
North
Italians
Burnaby.
moved out of East Van into North Burnaby.
Yeah.
Why he was trying to be so politically correct, or I don't know. The Italians left the hood and went to North Burnaby.
Yep.
Emphatically true. So now Willingdon. So Phil, next time you come, I'll take you. But
Yeah.
Willingdon is a lot more Italian than
Okay.
even Commercial Drive, even though
Oh,
Commercial
really?
Drive is
Okay.
Little Italy.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to bring
The Italians back.
well, they're not going to come back necessarily, but our generation, well, like the Normans thing, will make it more of an Italian type of grocer because, I mean, why
Okay.
not, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, Phil, did you not come out here recently?
Oh
You
my
were
gosh,
going to
I've been
last
there
time
out
we
there. I've been out there a lot. I actually
you
don't.
came out quite a
I've
while,
lost-
a long
yeah.
time ago, though. When's the last time you were here?
Before the new year. I don't think I've been out there this.
Yeah, you were here this year.
CHFA.
February, March.
I was out for
CHFA.
CHFA. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
the
yeah.
last time because we
That's
talked
it.
right after that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
It's been that long, eh?
Um,
Jesus.
Yeah. It's been.
Oh,
a
I know
long time.
summer's over.
Yeah.
Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
You know summer's over because the P&E starts and then it rains.
But it only rained one day.
I know that was surprising,
Come on.
wasn't it?
So I don't know what Toronto's like, but if the CNE starts, like in BC, when the PNE starts, you guarantee that first weekend is going to piss the whole
Yep.
weekend.
Yeah.
And then it's going to
Yeah.
rain for most of it. It only rained, if I'm not mistaken, this past Sunday, one day,
Yep. One day.
the second to last day. We never get that. Ever.
So it never rains during the CNE, but like literally as soon as do you guys get an air show on the last day of the PNE? We get an
don't
air
think so.
show on the last day. So we get an air show, like we get the snowbirds and all the planes and
Near
everything coming
Toronto.
through.
Yeah.
And so on the last day, as soon as the air show happens, the weather drops. And so like this year, no different. Like we were at the beginning of the CNE, it was like 28, 29, 30. And then by yesterday, it was like we woke up and it was 12 when we woke up. And then the high was like 18 maybe.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so like, it's literally like the bottom dropped out of the weather. Right. And then we went back right into the fall, right? Like all of a sudden leaves are changing colors. Like, it was like, what the hell? Just
No, we're not
'cause-
like that. We've actually gotten sunny again. Like we actually have
No,
we got a nice stretch of nice weather again.
I know
Yep.
we're
Global warming, though. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. The problem is, as much as we all like this, I mean, we were gone for 3 weeks of August, Amelia and I, but I know it was hot as hell here because we text from Italy or
That's right.
our FaceTime Daniel, and it was hot in Italy, which is always in the summer,
Yeah.
but it sounded like we were exceptionally warm, like for stretches, like not that heat
Yeah, it
dome
was
thing we had
smoking
last
hot.
year, but warm.
Like Toronto and Vancouver was smoking
Yeah.
hot that whole stretch you were gone.
I
California
heard
North,
you were.
baby.
I heard you were. in Italy. Yeah,
That was
and I'm
wonderful.
surprised they let you back in the country. But hey, well, that's not our story.
Hey, listen, you know what? I don't run the rules. I got my stamp in and I got my stamp out. I'm happy. I can go back. That's all I care. It was
Oh
wonderful.
my gosh.
It was
Oh my
wonderful.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
Was
So-
it nice there?
What's that?
What's that?
I did hear that on one of your things. You said it was lovely there, and you went to one of the old towns.
Yeah, we went to my dad's hometown, and then we went to her mom and dad's hometown, and it was awesome. It was seriously, I mean, what's Italy? I mean, how bad is Italy going to be?
See, I want to ask the questions to make this dialogue dynamic, but I already listened to some other podcasts, so I already know the answer. So I should.
That's okay.
So I have to, so I it's weird to me that, because I forget, right? Like, because I talk to Kenny all the time. And when I run, either when we're talking to a guest on the show or we run into people in real life,
Yep.
It fucks me up that people go, oh yeah, so what did you wind up doing with that? And I'll be like,
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? They're like, yeah, you dummy. Like, you talked about it on the podcast. And I was like, oh, thank you for listening. Oh my God. Like, it's
Like, you're
weird
kind of
to
thinking,
me.
like, what are you eavesdropping? Like, well, who told you
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's
forget
Well,
it,
you guys do
Like,
spill your guts.
You know, yeah, we do.
We have, yeah. I mean,
We
well,
do.
the whole point of the podcast is
Yeah.
if we can't be honest,
Yeah.
how honest are you guys going to be, or how much do
Yeah.
people actually care to listen?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we probably tell too much, but
There are probably moments.
You got nothing
There's
to lose.
probably.
what are you going to do? You know what?
What are
You
you
going to
gonna
take
lose
away
now?
our podcast card? What are you going to do? You're going to cancel us? Go ahead.
You've already
You're going to
done
phone
everything,
Apple
Kenny.
and say, "Oh, can you get these guys off the podcast?"
Uh,
Come on.
So we've got Gavin Mah on with us, and we've got to say, so I've got to say I'm sorry, like, this is a redo because Gavin came on right
Jeez,
after
moons
CHFA
ago.
in May, and the audio just, I think it was me and my mics, because there was a stretch where my mics weren't very good, but there's just, the audio quality was really terrible. So poor Gavin we kicked around schedules for basically all summer until we found this spot like the beginning of September. So it took us
good.
4 months to like
Took a
3
while,
to 4
but-
months to rebook you, but we're glad to have you back on.
I'm happy.
It's kind of timely too, because I think the other thing that's like, with all the things going on with the pandemic and consumer behavior and everything, like, super curious, what you're seeing happening in stores and like shoppers and things like that. I should say Gavin is Finlandia. I didn't do that right. Gavin, what
Gavin is-
wait.
So
I'm
Gavin
gonna
is
stop. Maybe you
CEO.
tell us.
Gavin's
You're
CEO
of
and
Finlandia.
part owner of Finlandia, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Is that right?
Finlandia,
Okay.
just so people know, is like, I mean, people who are in the health food industry listening, Canadians,
Yeah.
doesn't matter which coast you're on, will know Finlandia. It's been
Yeah.
around for a long time. Gavin will give us a little bit of history. Been
Yeah.
around for a long time. Super iconic. So he's part of that world, which again, Gavin, to Phil's point, is we've been scrambling, like literally the last little bit, trying to get retailers on. So I've got a buddy from Trail coming on, I think next week from grocery. Then I got a drugstore buddy coming on, I think in October. Then we've got you, which is actually a really cool model, because it's sort of it's a hybrid between a natural health store and a pharmacy, which is like really cool. So right now we're talking retail heavy, because to Phil's point, this world seems to have gone to shite. People are scared. I don't know what your consumers are like, but I'm dying to find out what they're interested in. Are they worried about the fall and the winter? Are they worried about inflation? Like, what is the mood sort of the consumer from your perspective? Now, you can give us a quick history of who you are and how you got to Finlandia, but really and truly, that's like Phil and I we're more excited because we've got a couple of you lined up that we want to talk the stores and the retail. So
yeah, cool. First of all, I'm nobody.
Well, that's good. You fit us then. Perfect. That was easy.
Trying to be somebody. No, you know what? It's funny. So for Finlandia, in 1987, I actually started at Finlandia in the back with a company called Sisu Enterprises. I'm not sure if you remember that. So
The
Sisu is a
vitamins.
vitamin company. Yeah. So the big story is about Finlandia, I guess. We just celebrated our 48th anniversary.
How
So
much
Wow.
is that?
that's
That's amazing.
it was Harlan Lottie's brainchild in 74.
So it's
Okay.
been
And
around since 19. Finlandia itself has been around since 74. I mean, I know it's more
well, he
because
thought
it's
of it in
grew.
74, started in 75.
Okay.
Jesus,
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that long.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not many people do. But then people start going, wait a second, weren't you here? Weren't you here? Because a lot of people think there's multiple Finlandias. There's only one. It's just moved multiple a few times.
Honestly, people think it's a chain, and I keep telling people, guys, I mean, it's not a
I
chain
thought it was
yet.
a
We can get
chain.
into that. We can get into that conversation toward the end.
Yeah.
It's not a chain yet,
Yeah.
but it is. It's one store that literally is iconic in the natural
Yep.
health space in this city, and quite frankly, the country. And to a
Yeah.
large part, I think the guy who started it, was one of those guys. He was one of the
If I can just say,
founders.
we can talk some more about that, but if I can just say, like, so as probably, among the three of us, I'm like the outsider looking in, or the newest guy into the natural space. And it's funny because Gavin, we just talked to Lorna Vanderhey, and her episode will come out this week, but Lorna is iconic to the industry, and then Finlandia is a similar ilk, and I think that's why people think it's a chain, right? Because they reference the kind of quality and the things that you guys do to bring consumers back, and it's bigger than it plays
bigger than it
than a
is,
single store,
right?
do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yep.
and I think that's why people think that, because I thought that too. Like when I went, the first time I went, I was like, oh, this is a wicked store, and then it was like, oh, I gotta go find another. Wait, it keeps sending me back to the one, right? And then
Yep.
that's when you realize, like, oh, they play really big, but they're the one store, right? Like, so anyway, that's kind of like as the newest guy kind of into the natural space, that's the way I see it. I think that's why we think Finlandia is bigger. Anyway,
I think a lot of
digress.
us play really big. It's like we're bigger than we are.
No, but that store, in all honesty, that store is, because even when I was in London, we would reference Finlandia and it was McDonald that used to do the
McDonald
a lot
prescription
of
down the road.
a lot of compounding. So two sort of non-traditional pharmacies.
Yep.
And you'd look at both of them to see what one was doing in compounding and what the other was doing sort of on the natural side. But both, don't forget about, we won't talk about that. It's the Finlandia we want to talk about. But do you know what I mean? It was those two iconic sort of, and people
Yep.
thought there was a million of them. And okay, no, guys.
Well, in all honesty, like Harlan started it originally, as a pharmacist in a pharmacy,
Right.
doing compounding, but it was mostly drugs, and he did a lot of serviced a lot of the old age and care homes and stuff
Right.
like that. And so he'd be, one of those guys who worked 24/7. He's compounding all day and delivering at night.
Right.
Right. And
Wow.
then as he was visiting the care homes and stuff like that, he goes, some of the stuff I'm giving these patients,
Yeah.
doesn't sit well with him. So that's when he kind of changed the concept of Finlandia and started bringing in the natural health supplements, and actually switched it from other pharmacy to Finlandia to be in 1975. You know what? It was like you're saying, Phil. He was a pioneer back then. This
Nobody was
is
doing that.
75. There's no internet. There's no computers.
No.
So someone doing this is way ahead of the curve, and a lot of people didn't even see it till we get closer to the late 90s, when computers and surfing the web allowed people to go, oh my gosh. But way back then, I remember when I started at the back of Finlandia, like I said, back in 87, it was Sisu, and we used to partner up with a pharmacy in Toronto, Smith's Pharmacy. So Smith's Pharmacy would do a lot of our distribution for Sisu out of their pharmacy. So we covered East Coast, West Coast, getting Sisu out on the road. It
Out of
was,
pharmacies,
what?
right?
A
It was
lot
weird.
happened, right? Like Harlan first started Finlandia 48 years ago, and then he started Sisu in the early 80s, and then he started Biomed, which is the professional company, in
Right.
95. So,
Oh, okay.
he is a pioneer, and
He's a pioneer in all respects, really. If you look at that, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I think in the CHFA, I can't remember what year, but he the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer on there,
Right.
and yeah, he's got a lot of accolades. He's done a lot, and he'll hate me to say his age, but he turned 80, and I think I mentioned this to you guys last time. Like, we went mountain biking Whistler, and he kicks my butt.
Yeah.
He is fit, right? So health food works.
Apparently,
those guys are, Lorna said the same thing. Lorna said, listen, I'll be 100, and the goal is to be 100 and illness free, right? Sickness free.
Absolutely.
Is like, those guys are,
they're just
what they did for the industry. It's amazing. Okay. So
yep.
Tell us, so you're in the back, Sisu.
Yep.
Right. And then you start working for Finlandia, but you're not in at 74, right? Like, when do you get into Finlandia?
No. So 87.
Sorry. Okay.
I'm in the back of Finlandia where I was working for Sisu, but that, because it was only, like 200 square feet, a few products.
Right.
Okay.
So what are you packing, and then shipping, or what are you doing? Are you not?
We did it all right there. We did it all in the back. We were, there was other companies helping doing the contract manufacturing. Like Quest was one of the big ones.
Right.
Did a lot of our stuff. That was the old days with, Mike Murokey and Mike Wilcox were in production. They were making a lot of our stuff for I'm not sure if you remember Allergy Research Group, Nutricology, and there's a lot of Harlan brought so many brands to North America because he was looking for natural health products that worked, right? And there wasn't a lot at that time, and it was really hard to find. Like, you could only find it by going to trade shows, right? And actually, it's kind of funny because last time we tried to get this together was after the CHFA, and now next week is the CHFA Toronto, right? So we'll be out your neck of the woods, Phil.
Yeah.
But in those days, you had to go to a trade show, and a trade show was those folding tables, and you just have a little curtain and a chair, and you put your stuff on the bottles out of your briefcase, right? And that's how you learned about everything, and you trusted everything anyone says. Oh yeah, this will do this and this, a little different than now.
Well, yeah, I mean, and thankfully, we sort of alluded to that with Lorna today, was that what has been great for the industry has been the fact that it is a much more regulated industry, where you're forced to, you're going to make a claim, then back the claim, if you and try to put stuff in the bottle that actually is going to do something for you, right? Because you know how bad it is. You can tarnish an industry pretty fast if you do what all the cowboys want to do, which is just not think it through. And again, that's where brands like Finlandia made a huge difference. Pharmacy backed, right? I mean, in education and pharmacy, a pharmacist actually understood the drug narcotic side and all that, but was willing to come over to a more holistic side and say, listen, there are times when maybe a non-pharmaceutical is just as good, or if not better.
Definitely. And so you're not addicted to it. Like, we realized this is a sad thing to say, but we were looking at some of our pharmacy sales dropped during COVID, we watched it slowly die off. And then we did a deeper dive on it and realized that a lot of the regular prescription fillers did die off.
So if you like actual, like attrition, like gone.
Wow.
Oh geez.
Because imagine, there are some people
I know, I guess,
who will fill a prescription all the time. They're always on some kind of medication.
You start seeing those people not come in. I mean, I guess what else do you assume?
Yeah, because
because you'll start to dig, or you make phone calls, etc. So you guys are still an actual pharmacy.
Yep, compounding pharmacy.
Old school pharmacy, as well as a natural, and that's why it's such a unique. It's a model that makes total sense, but nobody really does.
Yep.
And if they do, they don't do it well.
And we want to do it better. So we actually, for business purposes, separated it now. So the pharmacy is one business, and the retail store is another business,
right?
And then the online store is another business. So we've separated them out because online we're really gonna, sink our teeth into it now. We never really did,
right?
But we noticed that even a lot of our customers say, well, you know what, your online is actually a better deal for us. So you ship it quicker, and we don't have to drive in, we don't have to find parking, and
Well, and
now
parking and
there's
stuff
no
in that
parking.
area. Well, yeah,
Now there's
because
no
they're digging
parking.
up the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah, dig up the street.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's right, because the train, the line's going underneath, right? Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome for us when it's done, but that's years down the road.
Yeah, not fun right now necessarily.
So you got to live with
Ongoing
it now.
transit projects. Yay.
Well, you know, look what it did to Canby Street back in the day.
Yeah.
And then it's already, you can look at a bunch of businesses down Broadway that are they just closed down. Where,
never gonna
Kenny,
make it.
I see you're mute and coughing. Where's your hot water and honey?
It's downstairs.
Oh man.
I
See?
forgot.
I was listening. Like I told you,
I know.
you might forget, but I listened to your podcast.
I know. Well, because they all think I'm drinking on the podcast, and I was hot water and honey.
He's drinking.
Yeah, I know. There's something else in there.
Hot water and lemon.
Vodka's in there.
No, if I was gonna do that, I'd put
yeah.
rum or a brandy. Why would I get vodka? I want some flavor.
And you don't taste it. And if anyone else
I don't care about that. If I'm gonna drink it, I'm drinking flavor, man. I'm not gonna drink vodka. Sounds like boring. There's some real shit in there. Hot rum and honey, baby. That cures everything.
Oh man. Hey, so tell us more about, like, so this pandemic thing, it's kind of morbid, right? Like, actually, because I didn't catch on right away when you said they dropped off. They actually dropped off.
Yeah, I didn't want to be that bold
yeah.
and fun.
Well, I mean,
No,
people
but
were
look,
dying.
it's a reality,
I mean, it's
right?
reality.
People were dying, right? So
especially elderly
yeah.
and heavily scripted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah. What else did you see? Like, when you're looking through analytics, anything like pop? I'm so curious. I mean, you know, no trade secrets, obviously, but
yeah. Well, some things that popped is actually, like I just said, we noticed we lost a certain demographic,
yeah.
which is more the younger demographic, because we know they shop online more. So they were higher to transition to buying
Right.
anywhere online. I won't say the other guys' names, but anywhere online.
Right.
And it did. And then even we've noticed with that younger demographic, you know, if they're looking for a vitamin C, they're not going to look for the top vitamin C. They just want a vitamin C.
Right.
Right. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because they don't all work the same. It's not like, you know, a Rolex to a Timex to a sundial, they all tell time, but a high-end supplement and a medium and a low end, they're completely different things. It's like, you know, Wagyu beef and you know, what's in the middle, you know, Costco steak and McDonald's hamburger. Well, I wasn't gonna say brands, but oh well.
That's okay. But beef is not just beef, right? And
it's not.
But how do you know? So I'm always intrigued. I'm always trying to figure out how to do this, because we always struggle with this in traditional retail, because we had nobody that could help. Right? There's nobody on the floor in drugstores, typical mass drugstores and or grocers. So you could put the funkiest, coolest shit on the floor, but you had to rely heavily on that your consumers knew more than probably 99.9% of your staff, pharmacy included, because a lot of the pharmacists were old school and didn't, you know, they knew their meds and they knew the basic vitamins. They didn't really know necessarily all the vitamins. So how do you do your example? So someone comes in and wants a vitamin C. I guess it could be ascorbic acid or something to that effect. It could be a mineral ascorbate, right? So there's different levels of whatever it is, or where it's
and now
derived.
they have all the liposomes and all the there's so many different things.
So how do you do it then? Like, how do you I can understand when you go to Finlandia, within seconds 75 people are going to be on me. That I get that.
Less now. We used to have 75 staff. We cut it in half.
We're going to talk about that too, because
but that's the problem, right?
That's a problem, though. That's a problem.
You don't have enough staff, but you got to be able to compound like a lot of knowledge into 2 minutes, so you can get them to buy something.
So,
like,
you know what? So Harlan's, he always had 3 rules. He said to success of Finlandia, and he said number 1 is service,
right?
Number 2 is service. And number 3 is service.
Right.
And so I always get, Harlan, that's the same thing 3 times over. But he goes, that's what he does. Service, service, service. He takes care of the customer. So right now we have herbalists, we have nutritionists, we have a naturopath on staff, we have pharmacists. Like, we have probably the most qualified staff out of any kind of health food store in this arena. And But the problem is a lot of people, and this goes to Phil's question as well, even earlier, that, they'll call us and ask us a question and say, hey, I got gout. What do I take? And they might call us on the phone and we will answer their questions. And we're not like a doctor who says, hey, limit it to 2 or 3 problems. Then they go on from their gout. Oh yeah, and my back hurts here. And oh yeah, and I've been and so next thing you know, it's an hour call.
Yeah.
So this is the truth. The other this is about a month ago, I got a phone call from a lady, and I don't know. I guess I gave her the wrong business card. It had my phone number on it. And every once in a while, I have, there's one for
Damn it.
suppliers and there's one for customers.
Right.
I shouldn't say that, but you can't have everyone calling you, right?
Right.
So she called me up and says, "Oh my gosh, Gavin, I love Finlandia. Your staff were so amazing. I came in there, I had a couple problems, and they talked to me for 2 hours about my problems." I'm like, 2 hours, Kitty? What's going through your head?
That's a long time to talk. 2 hours. My God, who else were they selling to? Like, it's still a business.
So while she's talking to you, you're starting to pull up sales reports for the day.
Thinking, wow, that's why we had nothing going on that day.
Product or what? Like,
I said, hey, listen, I'm so glad we were able to help you. Did you get what you needed? And oh yeah, I was able to buy some product. I didn't ask about how much and all that, but I knew
the fact that she got help, it was great.
She got help, and that's the thing. Harden, service. She got help, and you know what? She was so excited, and she's going to tell 2 friends, and so on.
She's not going to tell 2. She's going to tell like 20 friends, because it's actually even more exponential than the old school 2 + 2 + 2. It goes because they're thrilled that someone spent time.
So we will still do that. We will still spend the time to find out for everyone specifically it's not one size fits all. Right. We're going to try on that shoe. It doesn't fit, try on our shoe, and make sure that you get what you need as a customer for whatever ailment you came in with, whatever problem. If it's health food related, if we can help you, we'll help you. If you come in and ask me about your taxes, well, maybe we could help you, but
we'll probably try to help. But
if you buy some stuff, then maybe we can help you.
We'll recommend a friend or 2. There's always somebody we know. There's always a guy. I know a guy. I know a girl. I know a guy. I know a girl. It's all, we know somebody's going to help you.
Yeah.
Well, so one of the things that we sort of got in, if you're going to get a lot of Lorna, because we talked to Lorna for an hour this morning.
That's okay. Lorna and I are good.
I know. That's why I'm not worried about this one, but just trying to think of some things she says. So one of her concerns, and it's a valid concern, because I think it's a concern that Phil and I have had and talking to other people. So you bring up the service, but you also alluded to that you don't have the 75 necessarily on the floor anymore, et cetera. So, we're in a time where bodies are hard to find. For what, I don't know where everybody went. It seems like we lost a lot of our workforce. They've gone somewhere. I'm not too sure where they all went, but they went somewhere. But it's hard to get people, and it's hard to get people into retail. So the products you sell and the world that Lorna lives in, or Mosca, or where anybody of these people it's highly driven by education, being able to talk to you. Gavin, what do you eat normally in the morning? What do you have at lunch? Do you notice if you eat this, do you feel any different, or whatever it is? Like, how do you start doing that if we're having this crunch and pressure on human power, human resources? Like, what?
You know what? So it's kind of sad a little bit, but yeah, we lost a lot of good people during COVID. They might have gone somewhere else. They might have figured, hey, I can get paid to sit at home. But we also lost that retail customer coming in. They more went online.
Right.
So really the ratio for servicing is still almost the same. And we might have had, we were a little bit top heavy on staff. We were. And then, only by doing a deep dive did we realize this, that, hey, we don't need that many staff. And no one was ever looking. But we go, wow, what are you guys doing? They're just talking, right? Water cooler talk when no one's around. Well, because there's nothing to do. So we just we're lean now.
Right.
We're lean. And you have to be in the new world, because otherwise you can help everyone you want to help, but you'll go bankrupt. Right.
Sad.
And at the end of the day, I mean, one of the things we said is, Finlandia is so iconic, and at 48 years, we're looking forward to be 100 years one day. Right. And but the only way to get there is to survive. So we had to, I mean, I hate saying that word, but everyone's always used it. You had to adapt and pivot, right?
Yeah.
And so we had to change how we were as a store. You know, how do you become better? How do you always, how do you it's like resharpening that pencil. How can you be sharper?
Right.
We had to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's scary for a lot of staff. And actually that's why some staff left. No way, I've been doing this for 20 years while I've been here. Yeah, but 20 years ago is completely different. We can't sell that way
Yeah,
anymore.
it's not the same thing anymore. Yeah.
But then how do you manage the new world? So, I understand that part, but you're alluding to is a lot of it's gone online, whether it's online at Finlandia or online elsewhere.
Mhm.
But, how do, I guess what I'm trying to do, and again, it sort of spins off the conversation this morning, is that our age doesn't seem to have the ability to drive through the bullshit that's online, like the true bullshit, the stuff that's really not true, and or skewed in a manner, and whether they skew it good or skew it bad, I don't really care. But it's not necessarily accurate. Where Phil was saying this morning that you have this group now of younger people whose the internet is an appendage. They actually
Mhm.
grew up with the internet arm, where we had to grow and attach an internet arm because we didn't have it. But they seem to have this ability, but they also seem to have this razor sharp ability to go right through all the bullshit. They know when you're
Well-
lying and they know when you don't. But so how do you manage that? Like, again, I'm trying to figure out is how do they get the information to continue shopping at a store like yours, which has been traditionally built on Harlan service, which has been human service.
Yeah. So, well, okay. So, I don't know how to spin into this, but we get a lot of customers who come in and they'll tell us their ailment, and then we'll recommend something, and they say, "Oh no, I tried that before. It doesn't work." Well, once again, they might have been buying the cheapest,
inferior product too, right?
inferior, yeah, just snake oil of that.
Literally, right?
But if they got something that was standardized and concentrated and guaranteed potency,
right,
and followed the directions as per someone with some knowledge,
ideally,
they would have most likely had results. Like I said, it's unless you know all the specifics of someone's ailment, you can't you can't say. But so they'll come in and say, well, no, that doesn't work. That and I read online, it doesn't work, or whatever. So there still are people who believe everything they see online, whether it be right or wrong. And you know what? I don't get into politics, religion, all that stuff, but we see that when we look at the states and certain things are like, they think everything's true.
What are you talking about?
It's not true.
I never noticed
online,
this.
if it's on the internet, it has to be true.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh well. You know what? Hey, whatever. But see, I don't want to go. You don't want to get in there. I don't want to be beaten down when I go out in public now because you said that.
Well, and the thing is, it's not so much
yeah.
about that. It's more about is again, that information is out there. How do you combat it so that you can continue to do what you've always done, which is give proper advice, etc. I mean, I guess I always struggle.
We don't combat it. We say, oh, that's interesting. I appreciate your opinion. This is what I can share with you. This is what knowledge I know.
Right.
So I don't get into the debate. Neither do our staff. I've talked to them. If someone wants to say, no, this is better than this, okay. We appreciate how you feel. Right. You're welcome. We have that for you. Or if we don't have it, we know that someone down the road has it.
Mm-hmm.
We're there to help. I'm not, listen, do I want to get into a debate? No.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own view of the world and their own story. And a lot of people just want to tell their story, right? So they just want someone to hear them. I had a lady come in the other day, and she's a practitioner, and she just needed to get off her chest the clients of the day.
Yeah, she's something to vent on.
Yeah, and so hey, cool, because she could, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? And I'm there to console. And then wait for the right opening and say, hi, thank you for sharing that with me. How can I help you? Right, so Kenny, it's old sales You just got to spin it back to how can I help you?
I'm going to spin this different because I think I'm curious, because I think Kenny and I both believe that we think that the heart and soul of this kind of natural industry is the knowledge center, right? It's being able to provide people with a knowledgeable solution that makes their lives better, period. Right. And I think you guys are on it. I think the service takes that to the nth level of that. I guess it's how do you start to step change people so that they start to come in with it's almost like, because you have a consumer set and you've done a lot of work to educate them, and so they're now coming in a little bit more knowledge. So it's almost like you get kind of advanced citizenship, if you will, right? Like they come in, they went from basic rudimentary users and they start to, but how do you, is that something you think that will scale with some of this digital stuff out there, like going online now, and then like, because you're splitting up your divisions, is the digital piece, as you lean into digital, do you think the path to purchase is going to be, look, we're going to have to put out a lot more digital stuff? Because I think that's one thing that if you've got an authentic voice with the right knowledge, which you guys clearly do, you have an advantage, right?
How do you leverage it?
Like for all that social media bullshit that's out there, like, let's call it what it is. There's a lot of social media bullshit. That is something we talked about today too, is I think people are looking for authentic, right? And the young people have a real nose for authentic. So is that something you see is going to help you kind of power your online, or have you guys thought about that yet? Or
we did. It's online is so challenging. So social media is so challenging for us too.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm good at. I used to think, back in the 80s when we had those computers, that I knew what I was doing. And yeah, you did when it was only a Commodore 64 or, an Amiga, 10 go to 20, 20 print my name.
Yeah.
Go to and loop and
yeah. I'm a genius.
Yeah,
I was even working at the P&E selling computers in the 80s, and that's how sad it was in the forum. But you know what? Now I look and I go, I know nothing, nor do I want to learn it. That's not my expertise. I have to find someone who is that expert. And one of the things we're trying to program right now is to have a professional who, when you do log on, if you want to ask a question, you're talking to a professional.
That's awesome.
And it's not just a made up person. We're actually going to have, because we have nutritionists and naturopaths and you could chat with an expert, but we also said that it has to be limited to a certain amount of time. Can't be 2 hours.
Right.
No. They can't be chatting 2 hours and no questions like, oh yeah, what do you think the weather's like? No. And I don't know why my voice went like that.
That's okay. I understood you.
little
Contextually, we understood you.
Yeah, because it's unfortunate, because a lot of that age group is actually just looking for someone to talk to as well, which again, is great to be there for people, but we're trying to help people more than just one people.
And we want to open up the demographics to a little bit more. We're we want to be all inclusive, and we are all inclusive for staffing. We have, like I said, anything under the sun. Right. And we want to be that for our customers as well. And our customers, typically when we looked at it, and you asked about, did we see anything when we looked through the data, we noticed certain demographics. It's mostly female.
Right.
It's mostly in that late 20s to late 40s is the bigger chunk who do the more of the buying.
Okay.
And the two highest ethnicities are, I mean, Caucasian on ethnicity, but Caucasian and then Asian. It goes like that. And more Chinese than any other Asian group. But we were looking, listen, we want to diversify it. And so we were at a Whitecaps event and talking to the marketing people. And they were saying, well, you know what? We have a huge South Asian community. And so we started talking to some of them, and they said, well, what do we do? What do you want? And how can we help you? And so we're looking at diversifying that way. And it's, you know, I guess back to the question of, you know, how do we change and adapt to that?
Yeah.
I guess we always have to stay very open-minded because we don't know the answer. So we only know when we step our foot in the door.
Yeah, sometimes you
kind of
just
deal.
bang into it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't first put your toe in the water, how are you ever going to know how to swim, right? You have to, bit by bit, you get in there. And the same thing with what we're doing right now, but we're opening it up to just everyone. And you know what? It's anyone who has an ailment or needs help in something. And right now we're finding, you know, there's more and more mental health issues, and that was not a big category for us before.
No.
And we're all seeing it in the world, and so we want to be there for everyone to help. And so, like I said, it's just being willing to see new things and
Right.
try new things and listen. I guess is the key, is to listen, because that's what usually doesn't happen. Usually salespeople are always selling. They're so busy thinking of their next line, they don't, you know,
I have
they're not
no
hearing
idea
what
what
the
you're
customer
talking
wants.
about.
Yeah. Right?
Always
Yeah, no,
closing,
yeah,
man.
no,
Just
you're
get
right,
to the
you're right.
close. Get
You're
to the
right.
close.
Yeah,
Get to the
yeah.
close.
Yeah.
One of the things is, I said, you know what, you know, we've heard this from our mothers and all that. You know, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so, you know, listen twice as much as you speak. But you have to listen to and find what really are they there for. They might
Right.
start off with talking about the weather and how someone cut them off in traffic and all that. Yeah, but why are you here? Right?
Right.
What do you need from us? How can I help you? And then they'll tell you, well, actually, I got this or that. You know,
Mm.
I have blood pressure. Well, I guess I could kind of tell when that person cut you off and you came in here, you look pretty like.
Yeah, the fact you wanted to kill the person kind of signified that your blood pressure is probably
Yeah,
a
when
little
you came
high
in the door
side.
screaming, we knew something was up.
Yeah.
Maybe other challenges, but the definitively the blood pressure seems to be one that's a trigger.
Yeah.
So
And
when
more people are triggered.
Mm.
You know, earlier question we were talking about the store, and for the first time, we've been there for what, 15 years at that location.
Mhm.
Someone smashed the window 2 weeks ago and stole lipsticks. They reached in and grabbed all, like, smashed the window
Really?
for lipsticks. Oh yeah, we never had that.
Dude, if you wanted that, you should have just asked for it.
Yeah, we would have given it to
Yeah,
you.
we'll give it to you. It would have cost
You could
less
have
than
all the
replacing
lipstick you want.
stupid window, right?
Because the window
oh my
cost.
gosh.
We're still waiting because it's a custom cut and it had to be a certain bill.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man.
That's upsetting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in terms of what you guys are doing, so one of the things you talked about in the location you're at is obviously, and yeah, white's not an ethnicity or Caucasian, but you know, it's a lot of let's say of European descent, Canadian, and then you have obviously a high Asian clientele. And then you sort of alluded to the fact you go to white it's Caps game, and then you start getting in potentially to larger Asian, Southeast Asian clientele. So
Mhm.
when is the day that potentially we see a Finlandia, maybe in Richmond, that is geared more to an Asian market, and maybe in Surrey where it's geared more to a South Asian market, or whatever it is? Or do you just say, you know what, we have an online world, and what we'll do is we'll just hire people that could speak either Hindi or Punjabi or Cantonese or Mandarin or Vietnamese. I don't care what it is.
Yep.
But is that
You know what?
like,
What
so
you just
what's
said
sort
right
of the
now.
plan?
So it's funny. I was on the website 2 days
No
ago.
trade secrets, eh? No trade secrets.
No,
I'm
I know.
just asking.
I
Although
was
if
just
you want
looking
to
at
tell
the
us, you can do
website,
that too.
and the website is in English only. There's no Google Translate. So I called my guys and said, why don't isn't there a thing that translates? They said, yeah, Google Translate. Why is it not on our website? Like, why can't you flick and be any
Yeah, you can.
any
but
language you
Especially in
want?
our
It's not
city,
very
we
good.
have such diverse cultures
Yeah.
and languages, and we do have a lot of people, especially people that would go to a traditional pharmacy that also has natural health. We have a lot of people that definitively they're ESL, and they could have been here like my noni 50 years, and they were still truly ESL.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Well,
they just couldn't do it. So how do you help them?
We do have last time was it 6 or 7 languages that our staff spoke, so we can deal with different people, right? But that's not everyone. There's more than 6 and 7 languages in the world. But we are working on now. It's the back end of our online store.
Right.
Doesn't take that
into
plugin.
account. Yeah.
So we have to look at a different backend store that will accommodate that plugin, right? So we're looking at that. And to your question of I mean, you're reading my mind. So we are looking at other health food stores who may fit to be a Finlandia, so that we either in the beginning acquire them.
Right.
So it may be in Richmond, it may be in White Rock. We actually looked at both those locations, and one in it has to fit what Finlandia is. And even over in the North Shore, we've been talking to a store, and so we're looking at that right now for an acquisition, and
wow,
as well as they were looking at the possibility of franchise.
Okay.
So these are, but this is down the road, because we'd have to create the background infrastructure to accommodate it, right? So we are working with some big players, and we've hired some big companies to advise us on how to do this.
Interesting.
And even if we start opening more and more stores, well, that's going to be more money. Like, we're even looking at, well, it makes sense to have a Finlandia pharmacy in downtown GTA.
Buddy, I think it makes sense to have one downtown Vancouver and downtown GTA.
We don't want it to be too close, because then we're just
But I
paying
guess,
real estate.
and I think sort of that's where I was getting at, though. But it might be, but if you look at it, maybe Surrey's too close, and yet there is a complete fit for that, because the Southeast Asian population suffers different ailments than potentially a European background. Obviously, a lot is similar. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot. Unfortunately, it's funny, right? What you eat and how you grow up dictates different ailments. We know diabetes runs rampant in a lot of the Southeast Asian community, right? High blood pressure seems to be one of those ones that they don't really care. High blood pressure is happy to attack everybody on an equal level. Do you know what I mean? But there are some definitive plays within different communities, and a lot of it's got more to do with what they eat and their lifestyle than.
It's funny you talk about that, because Harlan and I have had some deep conversations about where does Finlandia go now, right? And that's why we've got other investors coming in, and we're doing all this stuff. And Harlan, Harlan's as the founder, and he's the chairman of the board. Like, he's captaining the ship, right?
Right.
And where it wants to go. We're saying, well, what can we do now? So we've been looking at food, to bring food into Finlandia Pharmacy. So
that's when you're going to call
Finlandia
Phil and
Natural Health Center.
So Phil and you'll call us, and I'll give you a hand with the selection of that.
Yep. Well, you know what? It already. So by Biomed, which is in South Burnaby, we took over the building beside us, and we're putting in a kitchen, and we're doing experimenting right now. And even when I left today, we had up in the interior, we have some partners who own farmland, and they're growing produce and herbs and vegetables and fruit and all that stuff, all produce. And they bring it down and give it to our chefs, and they start turning it into meals. Cool. And we're trying to think of how can we create, first of all, I guess, a healthy cookbook for if you have an ailment, instead of going and buying a supplement, well, what is the natural food equivalent?
Right.
Because before we had supplements, we just ate food.
Right.
So we're looking at that. And some people are saying, well, wait a second, if you do that, you're going to, kill your own business. No, but maybe not.
I think you augment it, because I think what people will figure out soon enough is that you can't do it with just food, because of the way food's grown these days. I mean, we have other issues of the infrastructure of food, but you can't necessarily do it all with food, and you can't do it all for supplementation. But you marry the two together, and you got a really nice union.
Well, for example, at food, I remember I won't say the store, but we had some apples given us, to some Granny Smith apples a year ago, and left them on the counter, and I wasn't paying attention to them, and didn't even notice there was like two in the corner. Well, 3 months later, they're still there, and they still look perfectly fresh.
That's a scary concept.
Well, because they've been candy coated and whatever. It's chemically treated, right?
Yeah, that's not good.
That's
So then we went and cut into them, and inside it was all brown and all. It was
oh
awful.
no, it's like you got
But the
shellacked.
exterior
Yeah.
still looked like it was a plastic one of those
Right.
plastic fruits that they have in,
Kind of the way some of our avocados look these days. Not
Yeah.
that bad on the exterior, and then you think, wow,
you know when
that
you get
wasn't.
fast food, the French fries, I won't say the name, and then
Yeah.
they fall in between your your seat, and then you go back in 3 months later, you're cleaning it, you're going, this looks exactly like the day I bought
Yeah,
it. I
this
think I
looks
could.
edible.
And did it taste the same, Phil?
The fact
No,
you
I've
don't
never
answer that,
tasted
Phil,
it.
please do
I
not
don't-
answer that. Yes.
That's alarming, actually. Yeah.
No,
Some
that's
people might.
interesting. Yeah.
But
shit.
see, but there's the thing is, we don't know a lot of those things. Like, there's no stickers on fruits and vegetables saying how they've been processed, right? This is something that always gets to me, because we have to list everything we do to make a supplement.
Right.
But there's more worse chemicals on some of the produce we buy.
But even if it's not a chemical, take an apple, for example. A lot of time they're waxed, right? And I don't know what's in the wax. So let's say pretend it's a clean wax. But
Yep.
why are we waxing them? Do you know what I mean? Like, you get, and this is where I always get in arguments sometimes with my wife and my mom. They'll say, well, fresh is better. I said, we get so little fresh. For example, that apple was picked a month ago. That banana was probably picked 6 weeks ago. Like, if you really want fresh and you want the nutrient content, you're better off to go to the frozen section, because typically that stuff was picked and 2 hours later
and then
was flash frozen. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, it's got way more nutritional value than that so-called fresh fruit. Now, you pull it in from the Okanagan and they pick it today and it comes at you tomorrow is a whole different game.
Yep.
But people don't want to pay for that. As you're in retail, I mean, to some degree, people will pay for things, but that's not the real world, right? That's not a reality.
But then also that
we
fresh,
live in.
you don't know it was fresh what? Like, there's organic, there's all these different certifications, which are easy to get, but is it really?
I don't
Sometimes
know.
we question, we've
we
had farmers
we hope that, if a farmer says they're organic and they show this stuff, I'm hoping that, you have to have some faith in humanity, I guess, right?
I just got back from Hawaii, and we went there to celebrate our 25th anniversary. My wife and I brought the kids, so that was good. I made 25 years, man.
Yeah.
But you know what?
She made 25 years.
I'm sorry.
She made 25 years. Never mind you.
Yeah. So what we found out was when we were there is that the Dole pineapple plant. Yeah. One of the tourist guys says they don't grow pineapples there anymore.
No, they haven't done for years and years and years. That plant's been closed for eons.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I guess I wasn't paying attention. But then we started talking, and it's because the soil there is no longer good.
No.
Because it, like, the rain clouds, the cumulus clouds suck up all these chemicals and all that from all around the world, and then it travels across the ocean, and the first land it hits, it dumps everything. So they said when they did the soil samples, the soil it's gotten really bad.
Yeah, I think they actually import pineapples now.
Yeah, who would have figured, right? It's
I don't
not
know.
something we think about.
No, not at all.
But see, so you might think, look, it's a beautiful place. It should have the best soil in the world.
Yeah.
But it's not because people on the Hawaiian Islands polluted themselves. No, it's because it's coming when it rains.
Right.
And we know that. That's why they say don't flush your drugs down the toilet and all that, because it'll end up in the rain. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I gotta say, like, when we spent a week in France, and like, you can feel the difference when you eat. Like the food sources there are different. Like, you can eat cheeses and dairy that, like, like, I guess I share all sorts of things on this podcast, but I can't have that much cheese, right? Like, I got Asian genes, right? It's not a good thing, right? But over there, you eat, and their food system is definitely different, right? Like, there's not as much bloating. You don't feel weird. You come out and it just feels, and I'm not eating as much, which is really weird, right? Like, all of those things are products of of what we eat, right? Like,
well, we mass produce food in North America, which is why, Gavin, I'm saying to you, like, I don't think we can do it on straight food anymore, even though conceptually the only way to do it is with food, because that's how it's been done since we've been eating. We never had supplements until 50 years ago, 75 years ago, whatever the number is. I don't care. It's, you know what I mean? Like, it all came from food, but we've bastardized our food so much and so badly, from years of mass producing, and it's just factory on factory. Like, we don't give a shit. I mean, our food supply chain is really not solid. That's why I love the fact you're talking to farmers, actual farmers, and bringing in stuff that some human is actually produced.
But the cost of that is going through the roof.
It all is. What do you do?
So, well, I mean, I was talking to the family the other day. I said, we don't need the playground in the backyard anymore. Should we turn it into a garden?
Why not?
And I know people who have chickens, and a lot of people, even in the city.
Well, we used to laugh. Remember when they put the chicken, you could allow chickens? Everybody thought it was stupid, but you actually do see people with chickens because now they get their own eggs.
Yeah.
I guess potentially they do get, Buffy the rooster may end up, or Buffy the hen might end up as a food source one of these days. But, they're getting fresh eggs, and an egg can sit out. And there is, because they don't wash it, you don't get the salmonella issues.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to put them in the fridge. Like, people don't realize the shit.
And the nutritional content for that, if you're feeding them right, without the chemical, because you're not
imagine it goes through the roof, because an egg is a wonderful food.
It's actually one of the best, they say. So, but see, these are the things. So maybe we have to go back to the way things were, but a lot of people won't do that.
No, it's too far gone.
You know what? Hey, listen, I always think to myself when I go, when we were kids, life was so simple. Man, it's so complex now. Oh, right. I would love to go back to the 60s and 70s. That's just me.
I don't know.
There's too much. There's too many options. There's too many choices. There's too many. There's a lot of overwhelming.
I think some of it, but then I think we also did some really terrible things to the planet in the 60s and 70s.
But we're paying for it now.
We knew even less then.
Oh no, but if we,
So if we had some of what we knew now back then, and then went back, I'd be okay with it. But yeah.
And the song just went through my head from that sitcom. I said, "You take the good, you take the bad." Anyway, I'm stopping.
Anywho,
you know what's next, right, Kenny?
What's next, buddy?
The facts of life. That was what I was going to start.
Oh, that's
right.
right.
My gosh.
I remember that with Tootie or some stupid.
Yeah.
That's so funny. It's funny how there's names that pop into your head.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you used to watch it. It was your favorite.
For sure we did.
Tell me.
Absolutely. Anyway, listen. That was interesting.
Kenny got all, he got the mood lights going there, and
there's no light in this room, and I'm too lazy to get up. So I'm as we.
But it was on earlier.
No, the light's never been on.
Oh, it's all natural.
Oh, because the sun went down.
The sun's down, man. So I'm just sitting in the dark and quite enjoying. And it's not that dark in here. It's not as dark as it looks. And Phil and I don't do much video, thank Christ, because nobody wants to see us anyway. So this is probably the best I've looked on the podcast in ages.
So listen, you're coming to CHFA East, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see in Toronto.
Come in on Wednesday.
We're actually podcasting from the center on Friday, so you should pop by.
So if you happen to be around, you want to come and say hi, that would be cool.
Yeah, I'll do it.
By then you've probably heard some of the talks or whatever. So if you have any insight, let us know.
I saw you guys in Vancouver, but you were so busy. You were,
buddy. It's first show in ages. We know a lot of people.
And he was running around hugging people.
I gotta do my thing. I like my peeps. I like the sea peeps. I love this show. I'm so excited about going to Toronto, to be very frank with you, because
you gotta come find me. I'll be more level-headed than Kenny. Kenny's all hot-blooded.
Well, it's
Italian,
gonna be different. This was emailing Aaron today because I was going, what? It's no longer at Metro Toronto Convention Center. What?
No, it's not. Yeah, it's at the CNE.
We'll see how it is. He says it's good, so
it's a good venue. It's a good venue. It's
yeah, but my hotel is far away now.
Yeah. It's
farther. It's not as easy to get to. Is it as easy to get to?
No, it's not. And then there are less places to eat. There's, but
you know what? It might keep people there, and we'll all have to be a lot more together, which is all good in the hood.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going with.
Listen, if you need places to eat, shoot me your hotel, and I'll find you some legit places around you. I can do that for you.
Well, I know I'm right downtown.
Okay.
It's the Delta. I mean, who cares? That's where most people. It's nice.
Okay.
So I usually would just walk out and.
Yeah.
walk in.
Cool.
Okay, yeah.
So
Yeah, there's some places around. Okay, I got
So
you.
Gavin, if people want to get to find you or talk to you or learn more about Finlandia or whatever it is, what do they do?
they just look up Finlandia.
They want to get to you. How do they get to
You know what?
LinkedIn?
You know what? I'm growing my LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm
We
going
can
to be
help
doing
you
a
with
lot
that.
more with that. Yeah.
We can help you with that for sure.
I shocked myself, and it starts the numbers start going up, and even when I posted an ad for a job the other day, I posted it on my LinkedIn, and I had so many good applications. I was like, whoa,
That's awesome.
weird.
There's a comedian
I'm now
out there
better
that,
than
that knows
Craigslist.
it.
No,
Oh, I hope so.
just
I
kidding.
hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
We don't-
Okay,
I
my
don't-
friend.
Oh
Listen,
man.
I really appreciate it. That's an hour. People
Yeah,
stop
thank
listening
you.
to Phil and I. They won't listen. We'll probably listen to you a little while longer, but they don't listen to us.
No, they might have tuned out at first
That's
after
all
the
good.
intro.
All right, listen,
We will
thanks
see
for
you
coming
next week.
back. We'll see you
Yeah,
next week.
we'll
Thanks
see
for
you
coming
next week.
back on. I really appreciate it because I know that
Yeah.
first one didn't
Yeah.
work well, but this was really good. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be posted within the next week or two.
Yeah, it'll be, I think you go next. We're trying
Tuesday?
to get, for all the folks that'll be at CHFA, we're trying to get them out on time. So I think Lauren will go this Thursday. You'll probably go next Monday. But I'll
Okay, cool.
confirm later this week. But we
Perfect.
kind of wanted to make
And
sure
try to get it so people
these
can
are
see,
out and-
catch
yeah.
you, see you,
Yeah.
talk to
We're
you.
excited, and you know what? We're excited, like I said, to grow Finlandia. And I said we'll have food in there. Actually, we're gonna have a clinic in there, so people just have to stay tuned. A lot is gonna happen in Finlandia in the next year.
Okay.
Okay, we'll have to
All
talk
right.
in the next year because we
Yeah,
know a lot
yeah.
of people,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a lot of
Ping
the
us and we'll
spaces.
bring you back on. So
Oh yeah, well I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people you interview, they interact with us somehow.
Absolutely.
love it.
Okay, buddy
Have a great
boy.
night, guys.
We'll
Okay.
talk to you in a couple weeks. Phil, you hang on.
Yep.
Gavin, it was awesome talking to you, buddy.
Thanks, Gavin.
Ciao.
Take care, bud. We'll
Bye.
talk soon. Ciao. It's a cool store, man.
That was good, actually.
It's a
That
cool
was really
store.
good.
A lot of
Yeah.
trade secrets there. Jesus, I didn't, they're trying to fish things out. That was always, he's not
That
a hard,
was-
that was a good pond. See, if you're gonna go fishing,
Yeah,
that's
he
a good pond to
volunteered
fish
a
in.
lot. He volunteered.
It was really good
a
though. I mean,
lot.
I think, if they could open, yeah, wow. Because they still
my.
do so well, and they're in a funny spot now with that freaking Broadway being torn up for the SkyTrain line. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, good on them, man. They do a good thing. They've got the right the
Yeah.
right idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They got the right idea.
I thought that was great. I think getting his perspective was really good. Hearing how he's thinking about things and even them, right? Pairing back on staff is it's a
Well,
thing.
it's kind of making it, it's even from our side. I like to hear the different ways to look at the retail. So like, because everybody knows that we're opening or reopening Norman's, a small grocer in East Vancouver.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because you start thinking, yeah, you know what? Service is, it's easy to say, but hard to do. So we got to get our shit together, make sure we do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mom
Yeah,
just
yeah.
texted, listen to Tony Luongo interview today. Very interesting because I met him.
That's
She
so
loves
funny.
Tony. She thinks Tony's such a
That's
nice guy.
amazing. He is a nice guy.
Tony is a nice man. Tony's a very
Yeah.
nice man. I told you should meet his wife. Gina's like phenomenal. But Tony, I love Tony. Tony's a good shit. He really
That's
is.
amazing. It's amazing.
Okay, buddy. Listen,
All right, young man.
it's late for you and getting late for me. It's time to go beddy bye pretty soon.
Okay. All right.
We'll chat with you. Oh, thanks
Yeah.
everybody for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Forgot about that.
Stop recording.